What's good, y'all? It's Evan from DMV Sports Zone giving you another update on all things DMV sports. As always, we start with college football and the Maryland Terrapins. So Maryland, their offense is hot, and they just kept on rolling with a 27-13 win over Michigan State in a game which they never trailed. That's the third time this season in 5 games that they pulled that off. The win improves the Terrapins to 4-1, 1-1 in conference play, which puts them at 5th in the tough Big Ten East. This week for the Terps, they're back home against the Purdue Boilermakers. Purdue comes in at 3-2, 1-1 in the Big Ten. That's good for 3rd in the Big Ten West. The Boilermakers are coming off a 20-10 win in Minnesota, and they're 3-1 in their last 4 games. Up next, let's talk about the Navy midshipmen. So for Navy, it was a hard-fought battle, but just not enough at the end, as Navy falls to Air Force 13-10 on a 22-yard game-winning field goal by Matthew DePore with 4:22 to go. The loss drops the midshipmen to 1-3, still 1-1 in the American Athletic Conference, which is now good for 4th place. Up next for the Mids, they return home to host the Tulsa Golden Hurricane. Tulsa comes in at 2-3, 0-1 in the American Athletic. That's good for 2nd from the bottom, ahead of only South Florida. The Golden Hurricanes are coming off a 31-21 loss at the hands of Cincinnati on a 2-yard touchdown pass from Ben Bryant to Josh Wiley with 8:37 to go. That put it away. Up next, let's talk about the Virginia Cavaliers. So Virginia got humbled this past week, 38-17 at Duke, and the loss snapped a 13-game ACC losing streak for Duke. It also drops the Cavaliers to 2-3, 0-2 in the ACC, which is good for last place in the Coastal Division. It's a good chance for a win this week, though, for the Wahoos as they return home to host the Louisville Cardinals. Louisville comes in at 2-3, 0-3 in the ACC. They're last place in the Atlantic Division. The Cardinals are coming off a 34-33 nail-biting loss at Boston College on a game-winning field goal, 26 yards by Connor Lighton with 1:56 to go. Virginia really needs a win. Let's see if they can get it here. And we're wrapping up the college football segment with the Virginia Tech Hokies. So Virginia Tech also got served some humble pie, a 41-10 humbling at the hands of North Carolina. The Tar Heels had 527 yards of total offense. They were just having their way with the Virginia Tech defense. The loss drops the Hokies to 2-3, 1-1 in the ACC. That's tied with Georgia Tech for 3rd in the Coastal Division. And this week for the Hokies, they head to Pittsburgh to take on the defending ACC champion Pittsburgh Panthers. Pitt comes in at 3-2, 0-1 in the ACC. That's good for 6th in the ACC Coastal Division, ahead of only Virginia. The Panthers are coming off a 26-21 upset loss at the hands of Georgia Tech on an 18-yard touchdown run by Jeff Sims to put the Yellow Jackets ahead for good with 1:25 to go. And finally, let's talk about the Washington Nationals and the final Nats segment of the year. This past week, the Nats dropped 3 out of 4 to the Phillies. Those were games the Phillies really needed to win, and they dropped the Nats to 55-104, last place in the NL East, eliminated from playoff contention. And yesterday's loss cemented a franchise record for most losses in a season by the Washington Nationals. A season to forget, and it comes to an end this week with a 3-game series in New York against the Mets. The Mets come in at 98-61, 2nd in the NL East. They need a miracle to win the NL East, and they might get it here. Hopefully not, though. Hopefully the Nats can play spoiler. And the Mets are currently the 4th seed in the National League. If the season ended today, they would play San Diego in the playoffs. So, a season to forget for the Nats, but hopefully nowhere to go but up. We'll see what the winter has in store for our guys. Before I get up out of here, there's just 2 other things I wanted to touch on. First, a little bit of Commanders news. Brian Robinson today was activated off the NFL's injured list, paving the way for him to make his season and career debut this Sunday against the Titans. Well done, Brian. You deserve every bit of this moment. Now, the Wizards wrapped up their Japan series by dropping both preseason games against the defending NBA champion Warriors. The Wizards will be stateside soon. So that wraps up the DMV Sports Update, but there'll be plenty of content throughout the week from Noah, Nadi, and Abdullah as they cover our Commanders in what can be described as an absolute must-win against the Tennessee Titans. But until next time, I'm Evan from DMV Sports Zone, signing off.